All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Christa of Practical Astros. I'm here with my astro buddy and fellow Western North Carolina inhabitant, Dede. Welcome, Dede. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Krista. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
We are doing the forecast for the week for Astera Sophia Kairos. We do Wednesday to Wednesday. It's honoring Mercury, Mercury Day to Mercury Day. And we're going to look at the transits happening from November 26th through the 3rd of December. Dede, you are an astrologer, but you contain multitudes. So do you want to share a little bit about you and your practice? And then we can jump into the week.
Right. Sounds like a plan. Yep, I'm an energy medicine yoga teacher, which is really the passion and the place of spirit for me. And interwoven in that practice that I teach, I also use astrology sort of to looking at the forecast, looking at what's happening. I like to use the moon to sort of guide my thinking, the daily moon, on what the practice is going to look like. I also offer services in readings, but I also offer services in brain spotting, which is a form of EMDR work if you're working with any trauma or anything that's sort of stuck in the body. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm now sort of blending astrological readings with brain spotting, which has kind of been really interesting. So
Yeah,
you
that's
got
cool. All right, this is us. And we have already looked at the first couple of weeks of November. November has been quite a lot, heavy load, astrologically speaking. And we are looking at the transits down there on the bottom right. So we'll look at Venus trine Saturn, then Saturn going direct in Pisces, Mercury going direct in Scorpio, Venus opposite Uranus, Venus going into Sag, and then Venus sextiling Pluto. So kind of a blend, still very, very watery. Plenty of water trines still in the sky happening. So the first one we look at is for Wednesday, the 26th, which is the beginning of the week, where we have a lovely Venus trine Saturn. So I'm going to hand the mic over to you, Dede, and you can just bestow us your wisdom on how you view this transit in particular.
Thank you. It's so exciting for me when I get to write down and sort of open to the channel and ask Hermes to sort of guide me. So I'm actually a little bit of a storyteller. So that's the way that I will do my delineation. So here we go. Venus in Scorpio, trining Saturn in Pisces. Venus, that cold and moist planet, seeks to grace whomever she comes in contact with. And with Venus, she had that long journey in her air temple of Libra. She was infused with right thoughts of justice and calling for diplomacy. She is love and devotional in nature. Her creative influences draw people to be creative and forgiving. She left that cerebral part of her that was well resourced from that cardinal modality as the one who initiates to the fixed temple of Scorpio, Mars, feminine, and yin. There is always something uncomfortable when a planet visits a place of exile and detriment, as though the clothes they wear don't fit, and in her case, fit that sensuous body. Water has a way of creating ripples in the current, so Venus here needs more support because the waters of Scorpio are dark and much like the bogs of the cranberries that I used to pick up in New England. Well, today she is receiving and meeting Saturn by superior trine. As the benefic of the night sex, she finds herself in her own decan. So she has this power, or maybe self-possessed nature, if you will. She has permission to create and to use some of the dignity here, as Saturn's bound allows her to find some structure, to bring the devotional side of herself to form. Saturn demands a calibration of sophistication, of hard work, something that is earned, not just given. She may experience a dignity more refined and boundaried and selective, if you will. She walks through the door today, and there is a special embrace for her there, a relationship where Saturn is exalted in one of Venus's temple of Libra, and he sits in the waters of Pisces, where she is exalted like a queen. Venus in her exile in Scorpio glows from the chambers of water, well hidden, sexy in nature, wanting to pulse to rhythms only the underworld can hold. She has been initiating others in this erotic temple where taboos are awakened. She squeezes those around her, charming them, seducing them quietly, and pulling them into the realm of darkness, demanding honesty. Her superior trine here offers a helping hand to Saturn, who is gathering the whale bones of the sea, the creatures that dance in our dream time and the night realms, the illusions, the mystical parts of the sea. That's what fairy tales are made of. Saturn is putting an end to something and then accessing, remaking, or maybe to cycle here, to seek truth and honesty. He has gone back to the waters, the Piscean waters, to float, much like the Red Sea, feeling the element of water where he might be gathering insight. For water is flexible and strong and movable. The water signs are our dreamers with their deep insight and intuition. Water signs are sensitive and introspective. It's where the emotional undercurrents reside. You know when you're out in the ocean and you get caught in the riptide? Do you know what they say? Just swim with it. Otherwise, death comes for you and pulls you to the depths of the waters where lost souls are buried. Again, stories are built on those archetypes. I see this trine as fluid in emotional resilience, sobering in nature, structure within the creative temple of the sea, a glimpse into the fears, and Saturn lends determination and allows the emotional intensity to be held. Maybe truths are spoken. Maybe there are feelings of nostalgia for something transforming into emotional catharsis.
I feel like I should just do this. That was badass. That was awesome. Saturn gathering the whale bones. Like to me, that's just that is just gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. Thank you.
Welcome. You're welcome. There we go. It's just like, here it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we move to Saturn going direct? Yay.
Yay. So the next day on Thursday, on Jupiter's day, Saturn and Jupiter's temple of Pisces goes direct.
Okay, here we go. Saturn goes direct in Pisces. The quintessential turnaround, or a flip turn if you're a swimmer, that's when the swimmer gets to the wall and flips quickly. However, we are talking about Saturn, the god of the wall. That swimmer is not going to flip quickly, but instead will feel the texture of the wall, the strength of the wall, the immovable wall. He is the wall. This Saturn is ruled by an exalted Jupiter who is floating in that flotation tank. And in this water tank, he is not linear. He is self-reflective, gaining insight, watching the underwater sandcastles fall away. Zeus Jupiter wants cohesion, universal law, buoyancy, expansion, good fortune for the heavens to be right and just. There is faith here, maybe a fellowship of the self, as though he is gathering wisdom in his reflective state. He is able to feel the jewels and see the jewels of the ocean floor where moonstones are covered with the sands of time. Thoughts of what nurture him, what hopes and dreams does he have? Where can he course correct on the collective level? So Saturn going direct could be drawing on these things: an inner emotional wisdom, think emotional intelligence felt through the body, and determination, and asking, well, what am I ending? Saturn is rebuilding, slowing down, moving, but not too quickly, questioning what is inner security, maybe within the home, and can I trust that my host has opened the way for me, that the new architectural structure has rules and guardrails and stop signs. Saturn as the old teacher who brings lesson plans on stoicism and hard work, the grind of learning, solitude and quietude. He wants distance from his students, so a mere glare from him to his subjects is felt deep into their bones. Now, Jupiter Zeus, the prophet, the guru, the wisdom seeker, the cosmic librarian, is writing out a new narrative, using the old but bringing the new paradigm. I wonder if Saturn has forged a new container for the mystic waters of Pisces. What does that look like? What does that look like?
Indeed.
It's the tweed. Right. Yeah. And now we're moving into Mercury direct.
Another direct. We were talking beforehand. I was like, what is one of your favorite things to look forward to? And you brought just the idea of a planet moving direct so that we can have just some freshness, having gone through that, whatever planet is retrograding and slowing down, whatever reset is happening, it's just refreshing to see kind of the makeover, the new direction, the new skin, the new shedded skin from the snake year. And Saturn goes through a longer retrograde than Mercury does, but for both of them, I'm excited to have both of these going direct soon, not soon enough.
Exactly, exactly. So here we go. Mercury goes direct. This is the planet of communication, of thoughts, of movement, of bargains. This is Hermes in the tianguis of Mexico, of bartering, of the busybodies. Hermes is the courier, the critic, the psychopomp of diction, of speech and articulation. He waded back into the waters of Scorpio, the bogs of time, and excavating the waters of the abyss. He has left a warm, sexy embrace with Venus, I'm sure after secrets were whispered and confusion was stirred. Now, Mercury in Scorpio opens up a negotiations, things that needed to be said but were difficult, hidden anger and resentment that need to be spoken. My friend, who has this placement, just said to me the other day, quote, I will never forget what that man said to me, unquote. I said, thinking, inability to let go of those intrusive thoughts or holding on to jealousy. Direct Mercury can speak with precision, much like the surgeon as she takes the scalpel and punctures the skin, dissection of what is hidden inside the body. Hermes will once again, December 10th, meet up with the opposition with Uranus. Water meets earth, the flood of emotions meet the steadfast roots of the trees. Where are we holding the wounds of the soul, and how do they manifest in the body? Mercury is hosted by Mars in Sagittarius, so maybe there is pressure for action, for meaning. We may see or experience the following. There may be a compulsion to dig into details of something, of some kind, to unveil truths, maybe where lies have been harbored. Mercury Hermes, a speedy planet, wants to unlock the underwater caves. When they meet up with Uranus, a new flexibility in thinking, or maybe a new development of a new system. They may have a hand in revealing some power and control issues or things coming into the light after he swims out of those underwater and meets up sextiling Pluto very soon.
I love that. Yeah, your quote from your friend that has Mercury Scorpio, it reminds me of a phrase. It's given to the Irish, but you could give it to really a lot of different people. That the Irish forgive and forget, but never forgot they forgave. So
I
that
love
feels like Mercury Scorpio. I'm
and she,
like,
yeah, and she's Irish Scottish, so yeah.
oh, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, nice redhead.
Yeah. Same day, so just like a couple hours later, we have Venus opposing Uranus. And I will say, because you talked about Mercury opposing Uranus December 10th, as we record, Mercury and Uranus are in opposition right now. So we do have kind of that tinge of that. I love Mercury and Uranus touch points because it's these like, it is that scalpel, that burst of the bubble, that what is revealed inside, for better or worse. But in this situation, we have Venus and Scorpio at that anaretic degree opposing that retrograde Uranus in Venus's temple of Taurus. So, what words will you share about this transit?
Okay, so this is Venus opposing Uranus, right? It's just a few hours later. So this is Venus's last twirl as a pole dancer. And as mentioned earlier, she does have decanic dignity. She gained some traction and aged like fine wine from her trine to Saturn. There is a vision of completion here, but she faces Prometheus, the liberator, the bringer of light, to illuminate desires of the body. He sits in Venus's feminine yin sign, where he too is self-analyzing, like an agitator in the Earth's realms. Uranus announces something. He could be cramping in physical body, or he could also be cramping the Earth herself. The earth gives and she supports and she digests the hubris from humankind, composting the leaves and sorting through the carnage. There is tension where, again, Venus is tasking with leveling up. Where has she folded in the wisdom and lessons from Saturn? In her own decan, she may say, I know what I want. She knows beauty and devotion must be rooted because she is queen to the open fields and soft moss that grows in her earth temple of Taurus. She brings stability to that place, but today she feels the tension and change is coming. I think she is being infused to that archetypal pattern. Our archetypal patterns are seen and felt. Adam Ellenboss, in his webinar just last week on Venus, said, "Love electrified, desires open pathways to awakening and unconventional bonds." This is still an exiled Venus with decanic dignity. This could look like sudden changes within relationships, changing the priorities of self versus others, a need to release the ways that she expresses love, which causes sorrow for her or others, letting go of overindulgence, of feeling not good enough. Venus is ready to leave Mars's temple to extricate herself from those murky waters, as though she's looking for the escape valve of the submarine.
And then from there, she goes directly into Sagittarius.
Here she goes. There we go. That pole dancer. So now Venus now enters the fire temple of Sagittarius, which is a Jupiter ruled temple, right? The door is open into the bound of Jupiter, the triplicity of Jupiter, and an exalted Jupiter in Cancer is ruling this place. She immediately comes under the beams of the sun. And when the goddess of love, relationships, and harmony, of devotion and art and beauty and soft linens, silk scarves, meets in Jupiter's sign, there is mutable fire and exuberance. It's the archetype of the explorer, of the sage, of the wisdom holder. This is the temple that asks us, what do you believe is true and just? How do you bring your passions of courage and compassion to the collective? How can I serve and be beholden to the other, which is always Venus's jam? Venus finds new experiences, optimism. She can be a little tactless here, a little unreliable maybe in her thinking or what she's doing. It's though the winds of fate amongst the fire, and if it's in the fields, can spread, and then the realization that things are out of control. There is opportunities for creative endeavors here. Maybe too many projects getting started. Venus can be overindulgent, wanting too much, spending too much, eating too much, playing too much. Is that such a thing, to play too much? But Jove can lend itself to pure optimism, and Venus, still in the flames of the sun for a bit, can mismanage what she values. Fire signs can extend their own eclipses, if you will. They can be overly enthusiastic, overly impulsive, looking on the bright side even when it's cloudy. The world is their oyster, and then some. So within hours, Venus sachets into Sagittarius, and then she finds her sextile to Pluto. Should we go into that?
Yeah, because this happens once she moves into Sagittarius, she's within it's like less than 2 degrees. So Venus moves so quickly that those quicker moving planets, they're applying that hopeful aspect. So I think as soon as she moves into Sag, it's game on. And I think that connection to Pluto does inform that same like exuberance and enthusiasm and hope. And I love Venus Pluto contact. So I'm excited to hear what you've written about it.
Okay, and it's that sextiles. As Venus sachets into Sagittarius, she sextiles, literally has a superior sextile with Pluto, the god of the underworld. The sextile is the kiss of Venus, of ease in relationships. Pluto embedded in Saturn's temple of fixed air Aquarius, of thought, of what is the greater wisdom, what is best for humanity. Venus who speaks to the other. She brings fire to air, applying for a few days. That is mutable fire to a fixed air. So fire brings stimulation, firing up passion and ideas. She lends herself through intuition of fire, as these two elements can express words and ideas and shared interest. There could be intellectual curiosity here based on relationships. I took this quote from Ren Butler's book, Archetypal Astrology. And in this combination, he says, the feelings of love and attraction deep, intense passion, an instinct to approach dark or heavy situations with grace and kindness, profound artistic gifts, creative potential, primal art and beauty, and healing beauty. I can't help but think that Pluto is in a Saturn ruled sign, and Saturn just went direct within this week in Pisces sign. So this is Jupiter, a retrograde, rules Pisces right now. So Jupiter is in Cancer. They're literally speaking to our bodies, the mother archetype, our home. What are our beliefs around what home is? While Venus in Sagittarius is reaching over to the god of the underworld, asking to reveal the power struggles of control, and a very Saturnian sign that rules traditionally detachment, objectivity, and Pluto, the reformer, digs into the unknown, guiding us through cycles of transformation to face what is hidden and excavating the mind's eye to rebirth new ideas of change. So Pluto waits with stealth and force and reveals the shadow of the collective and the glimpses of rebirth. There is change. It's slow and steady. Again, Ren Butler said this: Venus Pluto transits help people face and clear out issues around jealousy and betrayal and sexual abuse from the past, also bringing the elements of love and kindness to the death and rebirth process. So I thought about this after I wrote this, Christa. I thought about all of this and I thought, what can I lend as a yoga teacher, as somebody who works in somatics and thinking about this time on the collective level as well as personal level. And I thought about these things. So I just wanted to list a few things that are really important to me and I'd
Sure.
like so to honor our traditions, to have a devotional practice, to embrace new paradigms, to ask questions and listen deeply, to seek rest and hydrate often, to move your body, to tap and shake out the nervous system every day, to focus on sleep hygiene, to do hard things, to cry, to pray, to sing and dance. And at least once a day, just let your mind rest. No scrolling, no doing, just rest.
That's like a 2026 goal list, honestly.
Right. I mean, it's really to me, it's like this is kind of a daily habit, but
Hmm.
super important for me anyway, that I write these things down
Yeah.
because write them, I see them, and they become part of my daily thinking about things. And when I'm off
Hmm.
races, when I'm behind that 8 ball that we talked about earlier, I have to take a moment. I have to put that phone down. I can't get caught up. And I'm like, okay, have I listened deeply? When someone's
Yeah.
right? So these are just things that I like to say in terms of, how do you not mitigate, but remediate, maybe is the word. How do you work with the energies and how do you still stay true? Because the iteration is happening, right? The planets are doing their thing.
Hmm.
Here we are, the collective. There's this big iteration that's going on. And of course, we see this collectively as well as what's happening. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it has to do with, like time moves on anyway, right? And that feeling of can't catch up or you're behind the 8 ball. On one hand, it's like we don't have to catch up, there's no catching up to it. But I think the desire to want to do the things, take care of the self is because those things remind us of the meaning of why we live life. Like we want to listen to this book, or we want to attend this community gathering, or we want to make this recipe, or we want to watch this movie. And it's because we want to connect. And I think that the desire to connect in all of these different ways through divinatory work and through community and through culture and through literature and experience and food and all of that. It's the desire to want to connect in all these ways, but that in itself can become so overwhelming that we feel like we're failing by falling behind. And just having, writing it down, seeing it written down, saying it out loud it, like, to me, it's like a way just to kind of get you back on literally the tracks of the momentum that you create. And I think a good tip is like just every day, like turning the mind off,
Yes.
going for a walk without any sort of device where no one can contact you for like 30 minutes. You're not listening to a podcast, you're listening to the birds, or you're listening to traffic as you walk. It's just a way to give yourself that yin time because we fill it up so much. We're not human beings, we're human doings. We're just always doing something instead of just being in our bodies. So you heard it from your yoga teacher, Dede Boyd. Like, can you go through that list again? Because I feel like it's good for us just to have that repetition of hearing it. And if it's such a great capsule of self-care and also engagement for this week.
So honor traditions, have a devotional practice, embrace new paradigms, ask questions, and listen deeply. Seek rest and hydrate often. Move your body. Tap and shake out the nervous system every day. Focus on sleep hygiene. Do hard things. Cry and pray and sing and dance. And at least once a day, let your mind rest. No scrolling, no doing, just rest. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen, sister. Amen, sister.
All right, I'm going to open this up here. Can you see the screen?
I can.
So this is on Dede's website. I'll let you share a little bit about what you do, but your website is celestialflows.com. I'll put it in the show notes as well. This is Dede here. You've got services, you've got your about page and contact. Can you talk a little bit about like the services that you offer people and how they can get in touch with you?
So I've been studying astrology now for almost 4 years professionally with Adam Ellenboss and many other teachers, particularly Adam and some other teachers that I work with, Michelle from Michelle's Midheaven, and of course connecting with Christa and Sonia and the women on this particular group here. So I do readings. You can click on that. You can see what I offer. The other thing that is really passionate, this is really speaks to me. This is really where my heart is, not that astrology isn't because it's part of it, but I am an energy medicine yoga teacher. And I've been a yoga teacher for way over since I was 19. So that's a lot of years. Okay, I don't even want to tell you how many years that was because I can't do the math. But I recently, probably in the last 15 years, started to practice something called energy medicine yoga, which incorporates Donna Eden's work. And Lauren Walker wrote a book about that and started to incorporate yoga with energy medicine. And that's what I teach now. And I've morphed it into a way that works for me and speaks to me. And brain spotting is something that I'm super passionate about as a therapist. I used to be a therapist many moons ago, and after I retired, it is a way to access parts of the brain that are connected to body parts that are a little bit stuck. Some people understand when I explain it's an EMDR version, although it's a standing alone practice. Now what I'm doing is I'm using, when I look in an astrological chart, I'm talking to the native. I look at some places that they're asking me about, are they stuck here? And then I'll do some brain spotting on that. I also do, I teach whoever I'm with, I teach them techniques of calming the nervous system because this is really a somatic practice as well. And so that's who I am. You can go and you can look at my services and there it is. Hello.
There's you. So celestialflows.com is the website. And I'll stop the share here. And just thanks so much for joining to doing this weekly. I'm just so honored to have your beautiful poetry and insight and just general overall loveliness. Like, I love you so deeply. I think you're an amazing human, and I'm so lucky to know you in real life and in the internet. And yeah, just thanks for joining the channel. Thanks for everybody for listening, and we will see you next week.
Christa, so many blessings to you and to everybody. Yeah, so many blessings.